Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our journey, and I have done some interesting episodes recently. I hope you enjoy it. And it's really going further and further into the heart of language. That when I research something out, because some I can relate, right? But because it's language created back then, you applied in the context of back then. So some I can imagine, but some like random things happen in history. Like this 罪 was change its course of the character by one man single-handedly, and it's recorded. In many of the cases, it's not recorded, but this 罪, because it got a conflict with the character emperor. So the emperor himself say, no, you guys have to change another word, single-handedly change character. I mean, for emperor's power, it's no big deal, right? But we inherited thousands of years later. We're still using this, misplaced or relabeled character for this 罪. So 罪有应得, talking about karma, basically. You do something good, you deserve good, but you feel guilty or you find fault, other find fault at you're guilty of something, then wrongdoing, 有应得, you should get punishment or consequences. So basically talk about karma. Today we have a 罪该万死. So if yesterday we left out the punishment, like what kind of punishment? Didn't say. It only say you deserve to be punished. You deserve to be punished in this implied parenthesis way, right? We only say, yes, confirm, 有罪, guilt charged, and then 应得, you should get this. But get what? Didn't say. This expression, fill out, deserves 1,000 deaths. Oh my God. Okay, so Chinese definitely occasionally have this supersized exaggeration or hyperbole. Like they create this 1,000 deaths. I mean, we only have one life. We can only die once, right? But the language have this expression of once, like die 1,000 times. And you can fill out the blank, like who died 1,000 times? Well, probably because back then too, like ancient Chinese, at least back then, a lot more people believed in Buddhism or Taoism. So something about like, just like the East, just like the West, people cannot accept that life is once and they're done. They have a limited window on the planet and they're gone forever. That's too traumatic to grasp this idea of death, right? So the East people would comfort themselves with, we have a recycling, we have different cycles of life. So you're going to come back to life again after X number of years, probably in some other form, a body. It could be another human or some animal or plant, like who knows? You're going to get recycled. I mean, in a way, yes. I mean, all of our elements on our body are going to recycle, coming in and out, and then form with other art particles, form a new life. It's highly possible from that sense. But I mean, we as an individual formed, shaped by our own time, our limit of our own time and space, the cultural context or the language we read every day, use every day. That's what shape us. And in that sense, it's irrepeatable because time is changing, history is changing. Like you cannot live it twice. It's not you anymore, even if the biological you, like the or chemical you probably is more appropriate, is still there, but the material reassemble, rearrange, but it's no longer you as defined by your life's experience. Okay, any case, because of that, people back then sign up for the idea of you're going to die, but you're going to reborn, die, reborn. It's endless. And to curse yourself to the worst is you deserve to die 1,000 times or 10,000 times. It's almost like a pretty bad curse to anybody to say, okay, 10,000. Because in Buddhism belief is also like after certain cycles of death and rebirth, you're supposed to get elevated to another layer. So you'll get out of that cycle, kind of, you know, the washing machine cycle. When you're out of that churning, you go somewhere more stable because you're gaining wisdom to a higher level. Therefore, you don't join that, you know, low force of getting re-educated, reprogrammed, relearn, and re-die again. So to curse somebody 10,000 deaths is really bad. Okay, crime again. Well, I forget to highlight this, but I translate it as crime because we have fault, we have guilt, and crime it sounds like a bigger, like a bigger deal. So because we have once, it's a kind of a grand 10,000 times of death, is a grand punishment of not only punishing your this lifetime, but 10,000 of churning of this recycling of your life deaths. And therefore we have to escalate this character from guilt, you feel bad about yourself, to somebody else judging you as find fault of you, to crime, like it must be horrible, horrible deed that you committed, right? So to match up to this once. Okay, again, this is negation because it's a mirror image. And then we have the net over there to either capture or cage the wrongdoing or the negation. So that's the definition of crime. And then guy, that's a difficult one. Okay, I will try my best. The left side we came across many times. It means speaking. It's made up of the mouse symbol, the box with up tilted corner, and then we have this entering symbol, which is the convex shape with connected with a vertical line. And that means from the original space, which is here, with almost like a needle-like thing, kind of a piercing through a surface, entering into a new space. And then that's entering. And then it's pointing toward the mouse, right? So it's basically the frame is saying entering the mouse. Okay, don't overthink. And then we have this horizontal line. It was horizontal line, but here is stylized as with this up tilted corner. But it's simply because it has to go together with this convex shape. So the horizontal line turns convex itself. That's an indicator to mean here, the new space is where we're talking about. So this entering the mouse, but then the horizontal line means it's within the mouse that we're talking about. Then what is within the mouse? The tongue. So the whole thing is the tongue. And then we have two horizontal lines. I view it as soundbite, and it's diminishing energy as well through time and space. We have the first one, longer line, second one, shorter line, and also visually that looks more stable, right? Versus this one looks a little bit more unstable. The bottom is taller, longer than the top one. So the result of speaking, the organs to speak. So the whole thing is speaking by definition, visually in Chinese. I mean, isn't that amazing? Okay, and then we have the right side. It's a little bit complicated, and I have to use reverse engineering a little bit. Okay, the whole thing, character here, speaking, and this character together means a promise you made with your co-fighters. Okay, so this is a military term. So within the military, you're going to face enemy and you're going to go out, kill, or get killed. Pretty big consequence. Therefore, whoever you're fighting with, somebody, you have to watch out each other's back, right? That's the default. So this is a kind of a contract. You're going to watch out for each other as a group when you go out to war. So there are many, many kind of such rules that in time of war, it's going to make each other safer. So that's a kind of a contract or promise you made with your co-fighters. So that's the meaning later on. And then how are we going to derive from the speaking? So contract, speaking, or verbal agreement, that is explainable. But what about the right side? The right side, this character is pretty abstract because according to later scholars or later use of this character, it means the number, it's, okay, we all know about the yin yang, right? So besides the yin yang, there's also 八卦, so 8 kind of icons. So 2 to the 3rd is 8. So there is this 3-line thing. By connecting connecting or separating them, there are 8 kind of combinations, right? And you can combine 8 ways. So that's 八卦. And then beyond that, there are even more, I think 六四 or something like even more elaborate calculation or prediction or rule of the book that people try to come boil on to explain how the world works. So this is one of the characters that got abstracted into that status, almost like a supernatural, super language, matter character in Chinese, that kind of used as a computational element to say, okay, life is made up of A, B, C, D, like a bunch of them. I forgot, maybe 12 of them, something like that. And then among the 12 of them, this is the number 10. Number 10, and also the seasonal of this agrarian society, right? The season of planting. So number 10 is when you're done with the harvesting and you're before entering into winter season. And so there is this combination of, you still have some residues from the summer and you have winter coming up, and there is this battle of season of warm to cold, transitioning time. So in this character, you see the same 2 horizontal lines over there. I mean, one day I'm going to decode what that means. Besides, here is, I imagine, as sound bites. It can also mean heaven and earth, right? If we go grand or philosophical, that the top line is the heaven, the bottom line is the earth. And then between heaven and earth, that space that humans exist, we have, well, this kind of like a human figure, right? Because ancient times, human figure, not just like this, it does have a left and right structure. It's an asymmetrical. And besides it's human, some scholars also say this is, one is male, one is female. I mean, up to interpretation, however you want to look at it. So male and female can be, I mean, this we can view almost like this is protruding belly, so a pregnant woman even, right? So this is woman, this is man, or flip it, however you want to interpret it. But it's opposing forces. Summer, winter, man, woman, heaven, earth. So there is all kinds of opposing forces packed in there. And then there is a certain expectation of where things should fall. According to Chinese, of course, the best place to fall is number 5. Well, or in the middle of things. Like you are kind of in the middle and balanced. Therefore, when things change, you can easily shift to counterbalance whatever is throwing off center. So this opposing elements, female, male, warm, cold, heaven, earth, then plus this contract sign became this expectation, almost like expected to be balanced, like between forces, between live and die, even like you want to find that, I forget the English word, Goldilocks, right? So you have to have that perfect zone to be able, that's your life's condition for you to survive. And this extended into the military contract, verbal agreement, how we protect each other, how we keep that balance and connected. You see they share the same heaven and earth, that they're connected from here. Also give you not only things are opposing, but somehow they're connected as well. So that further extended into you should. So this is contemporary Chinese should, actually. When we see 应, I translate as should, right? And 该, I translate as warranted. But in contemporary Chinese, when we translate the English word should, we actually put 应 and 该 together. 你应该, like you should do something. That's kind of expectation. And so today we unpacked this guy, this warranted. So crime, this type of crime that warranted or deserved or should get 10,000 deaths. So we have 10,000 again. So I have to come up with some theories of why this weird looking shape is 10,000. Okay, so today I came up with something. I hope I can. This is the original 10,000 that came from some sort of animal. And you can see the tail of the animal, the weird, big, boxy head of the animal, even the corns of the animal. Or I don't know if the animal have two hands, even like reaching out like that. I don't know. But in any case, this is the original one that people say it depicts scorpion. Does it look like scorpion? That because scorpions give birth to 10,000 babies at one time. That's how they reproduce. I should fact check that. Is that so? But therefore, the language used that as a highly productive, like a super multiplier, right? If scorpions give babies 10,000, and then that's the match in animal kingdom to this mathematical concept of 10,000. That's the scale. That's one. So 10,000 eventually in Tang Dynasty, about 1,400 years ago, before 1,400 years ago, Tang Dynasty, people decide, okay, this is too much because we have a 10 that's sort of related to 10, 10, and we add one diagonal line to make it into 1,000. So one diagonal line added to 10 is already 1,000. And now people think, what about we make some simple characters? And that can mean like more than 10,000. I mean, more than 1,000, but make it 10,000. So does it look like 10, but trunked the bottom side of it, but then have two diagonal lines? So instead of 1,000, make it into 10,000 somehow, right? So my theory is, okay, 10, when we expose, like to the order of 10 is 1,000, is 100, right? So 10, basically 10 times 10. So 10 to the 10 squared is 100, right? And now when we parenthesis that and squared again, so it's 100 and times 100 itself. That's twice exponential, right? From 10, because 10 is humanly accessible, relatable unit of measurement, 10 of them. And we use knotting to keep record of number 10. And then when it comes to super big numbers, how are we going to effectively experience that? I mean, express that. So we have this square it and square the whole thing again twice. So that's how I interpret this square it twice. Okay. I don't even think ancient times mathematicians back then think of how to relate 10 to 10,000 in this double squared action and came up with this word, this character. I don't know that. It's pure speculation from me. But in any case, from the animal kingdom of scorpions' reproductive behavior to this kind of abstraction, it's really abstract. We can also kind of imagine this as a 4-dimension, right? It looks, even if it's only 2-dimensional, you can kind of imagine it to be like at least 4 directions. And maybe that's something related to 10, but 4 to the 4th degree of 10, that's how you make it 10,000, up for interpretation. Okay, that is more easy to understand because it's a visual. The left side means broken bone. So this is kind of an end of the bone, the joint of the bone. And then this vertical line, horizontal line is a super abstraction of a broken bone, some cracks on the bone. And then the right side here is the human figure. That means when the bone is broken, this human was defined as human, basically our spirits or our algorithms, right? Our personal experience through life depart from the broken bone. That's a visual depiction of what is death, how death is defined. Basically, your thinking you, conscious you, depart from the bio you. And when this separation occurs, that's death happening. So 罪该万死 we don't really use that expression in our own lives, because who has the right to judge anybody to die 10,000 times? And who would have such a self-hate to accuse themselves to say, I deserve to die 10,000 times? Nobody, right, in contemporary life. So this phrase only exists in this period drama that depicts about 200 years ago to the last dynasty, before China got modernized, or because before China got not exactly invaded, but the closed country got opened by the British and all the other powers 200 years ago, that through navigation were able to floating around the globe and do this trade thing, right? So back then, China was the last dynasty through this recurring theme of one guy, most times this guy, occasionally girl, rule the whole country, the whole land, the whole people. And this hierarchy, super steep. One ruler, the rest of them are all this word, 奴才, like slaved. Slave, 才 is somebody who has potential. It could be, we could use it as a material almost, like 材料. It's a little bit different writing, but it basically means I came in the role of as your servant, as your slave, even like a downgrade themselves to slave, because I guess from the emperor system, the emperor is the one person who got the super power and to rule everyone else, right? Everybody is below. So the emperor is its own class, and the rest of them kind of a hierarchy, but really the whole pile of people over there is the second-rate citizen and can be considered as slaves to the emperor, because only the emperor has the full legal rights in today's measurement, right? The rest of the people, the ruled people, are all slaved to the emperor. At least that's the ideology of propaganda back then that made people think they are, slave to the emperor. They don't have the same type of right. They deserve to be ruled by this one guy. Anyways, 罪该万死 oftentimes are these, actually they are eunuchs. Is it called eunuchs? Men castrated and served in court so that they have no risk of competing or stealing women from the emperor, because the emperor kept whole house full of wives and women for the emperor himself, and then no other man was able to access them. So the male servants, because of their muscle power, right? There is such household need to have male servants, and they would be castrated, therefore they can serve them. And well, this person could be that, but because this person actually wear this hat thing, that's a special indication of this person actually got a rank. So serves a kind of a governmental function back then. But in front of the emperor, nobody had any spine, basically. So forever talking to the emperor, people hunch over, kind of like trying to shrink, trying to look small, right? Trying to distinguish this power, super inequality in that space. And so emperor will always sit up there tall, looking down on people who consider themselves slaves, material to the emperor. And you see here, 罪该万死, that's when this phrase was used. Whenever the emperor disagreed or got upset or frustrated with any of the state affairs or whatever affairs, the finger pointing never goes to the emperor. It always point back to the slave, self-considered slave people over there. So they would often say, I heard it so many times in such period of drama, that 奴才罪该万死. They curse themselves to deserve 10,000 deaths because they offended the emperor. They deserve to die that many times. So that's the full context. Sorry to be lengthy here. I hope we all learned something here. Okay, 罪该万死才是 intelligence of thinking by one word a day. See you another